do you want from me? Episode 3, Season 8, Lord God Almighty, the Battle of Winterfell. So much happened here. We had someone with Arya. She kills the Night King. We see people dying, not who a lot of people expected to die, but still some very significant deaths tonight. And an entire battle from beginning to end covered in one episode. I don't know about you. I just saw a movie, not an episode of television. So there's so much to talk about, from dragons fighting in the air, looking like the Batmobile going against the night sky, to the Night King falling like Hans Gruber and Die Hard. It's all here in this episode. Pretty incredible. Let's talk about it all. And you know I can't do it by myself. So I brought along this incredible panel of guests to talk about it and break it down from AfterBuzz and from the podcast of Ice and Fire. That is Kyle Maddock next to me. How are you, Kyle?
I'm doing really well. Thank you guys for having me at this funeral today.
And of course, back, Haley Fouch from Collider.com. Haley, how are you? I saw you crying through this whole episode. Not to sell you out a little bit, but you were crying, and I was like, I was living through your tears. How are you?
I'm good. I've pulled it together. You got to be live on air. You got to get your shit together a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go home, watch it, and then cry some more, I'm pretty sure.
I'll probably cry before the end of this episode. I mean, I just recovered from Avengers Endgame, and then this comes and hits. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Anyway, and Dennis Zhang, always stopping by here. How are you, Dennis? How are you recovering? A resident Game of Thrones expert?
It was very, very overwhelming, but in a good way. And, you know, like you said, with Avengers Endgame this past weekend, all the geeks are like, they're filled like, it's so happy yet sad at the same time.
Yeah. Well, epic, I think, is the right word to start off talking about this episode. Wanted to get you all's initial thoughts about this thing. First, let me throw mine out there. Overwhelmed, incredibly moved, phenomenal piece of television. Maybe the greatest episode of television, visually, score-wise, cinematography, storyline-wise, and just what we were able to see for me personally. Kyle, what did you think?
I thought it was absolutely beautiful. The scope of it was fantastic. It didn't feel like 82 minutes, so you know that's good when you don't know how much time passes. I thought everything, like you said, cinematography, score, things were great. It wasn't perfect. There are definitely some things we're going to be talking about, but I think overall that was a wonderful piece of television.
Yeah, Haley, your thoughts?
I guess I'm the jerk in the group. Like, I don't dislike it at all. I was obviously moved to tears, as you so kindly pointed out.
We were all tearing up.
Yeah. I do think it was a little messy, even in the way that we're trying to talk about how we want to approach these topics. It's all a little jumbled and, like you said, overwhelming. Yeah. But more so, my biggest thing is, like, you really can't see what's going on for half of the episode. Yeah. And I understand that visibility is intentionally a problem for the characters, but when it's a problem for your audience, I don't know if you're pulling off your best possible battle sequences.
I think that's a great point, Haley. I found myself moving to 3 different locations as we were watching it, so I could watch it and be able to catch something. When I go home, I'm going to go watch it on my OLED and see it. Like, I'll stop and watch and see what I missed. Dennis.
I do want to say one thing. I think they nailed character moments.
Yes.
Like, even if I don't think it was their best battle, the big hurrah moments were spectacular. You know, we all cheered it multiple times, so they got you.
And we're broken it multiple times.
Yes.
For me as well. Dennis, thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I had mentioned before that I was worried and concerned that I wouldn't be emotionally invested in something as the Battle of the Bastards, and I think it surprised me. It doesn't top that for me in terms of emotional investment in the characters, but it got me more than I thought I was going to. And the anytime, that's why I always say I don't like fight scenes at night. They're just, the Battle of Blackwater was in the same way, even though I love that episode. Just a lot of, anytime you start fighting at nighttime, you're like, what is going on here? And then, especially with something so chaotic, with something like the Whites, it makes it increases that confusion.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember if Watchers on the Wall was set at night?
Yes.
And that, I have to give credit to the people who shot that, is a beautifully lit nighttime episode. And I wish this one had a little bit of that clarity and that geography. I don't know if it was just me. Sometimes I didn't quite know how the parts of the battle connected. And they did really great camera work.
Yes.
But particularly when it came to after they stopped going into the air and when they were on foot inside the castle, I was a little confused at how some of it worked. But also, maybe I just am bad at geography.
Well, I would agree with you. The geography of the castle was very strange, and we'll get to it as we're talking about it, but like that scene with Arya in the library, you're like, where is this at? What place is this in the castle? And why is it so quiet when all this stuff is raging outside? It seems like a really quiet moment out of nowhere. What's the geography of where she's at versus where the Hound is? Why did it take so long for them to get to her? All that kind of stuff we're going to take a look at as we break this thing down. It starts off with Sam with his hands shaking. Then we move to Lyanna, and she's organizing things. Tyrion is grabbing his stuff, got a dour look on his face, worried about what's going to happen. Bran, we see Theon pushing Bran, taking him over to the tree. The dragons fly overhead, get everybody psyched up. The Unsullied are there getting ready. Jon and Dany are atop the castle, don't say a word. And then we think everybody's ready for this everybody's ready for this battle. And who comes walking down out of the darkness? Not the Night King on the horse. It is Melisandre on a horse out of nowhere, who, if you remember last season, said she had to do one last thing, come back, and she was going to die in this godforsaken land. And sure enough, she does die by the end of the episode. She puts a spell on the Dothraki's weapon. The fire lights up. Melisandre tells Davos not to, because she comes into the castle, tells him not to kill her because there's no point of it. She'll be dead by dawn. And then Arya and Melisandre share a look, which maybe gives you a little foreshadowing of what's going to happen at the end of this episode. Because remember, Arya first met Melisandre when she bought Gendry or got Gendry sold off seasons ago, and then the Dothraki attack. So that's the setup, and it begins that way. I thought the White Walkers were going to come to them. No, the Dothraki rode out to them with the dire wolf with them as well, which we have not seen since they attacked. So we don't know if the wolf survived or not. And then everything came over from there. Let's start with Arya first. Let's go through her entire journey through this episode. She's there on the wall. We kind of lose her for a bit, and then she jumps into the battle. Really has these incredible fight moments. Then she has that moment in the library. Then everything with the Hound and Beric. Beric sacrifices himself for her. The thing with Melisandre, they have their interaction again later on, and then at the end of this thing, she kills the Night King. Haley, your reaction to Arya's journey in this entire episode, what stood out for you? What you like, what didn't like?
For me, I think we're starting on the high point. She's, it's a given that she's going to be a lot of people's favorite parts of the episode, because there's not a bigger moment in the whole thing than when she pops up. But I liked the stuff with Melisandre. I liked that not so subtle hint of brown eyes, green eyes, and blue eyes. Go get your man. That was great. Before we move on totally from the Dothraki, I did want to say that I really liked the visual cue, not just how awesome it was that she lit all their swords, which was amazing, but that was a really clever device to show us how quickly they were screwed. Yeah. They go out and they're almost instantly extinguished. And I do like, starting with Arya sort of at the top of those battlements, the way that at the beginning of the episode, the camera moved with everyone through the battle, following different characters, up, down, all around. And ultimately, she's just, for me, she's the highlight. Everything with the Hound was a highlight. Her moments entirely, her scary scene in the library or whatnot, that was pure horror. That was wonderful. This is good zombie work, guys.
Yes.
I'm super, super stoked. I don't think anybody, or maybe actually quite a few people did, but I certainly think the bigger majority thought that it was going to be Jon to take out the Night King.
Yes, absolutely.
So that was an amazing moment.
Did you think it was paid off, Dennis? Because she had been trained this whole time to be an assassin. A lot of people thought she was going to take out Cersei. That would be her thing, with the prophecy being, not necessarily a male or female. Specifically, someone's going to take it out that's a little sister or a little brother. So did you like that this is what all her skills, her entire journey over all these seasons led to this moment? She could pull that drop in the knife trick and shove it right into the Night King. By the way, the same dagger that was being used to kill Bran, now used to kill the Night King, or tried to kill Bran, now being used to kill the Night King.
Littlefinger accidentally did a good thing.
Oops. Everyone gets redeemed on this show.
I quite enjoyed it, and I like it. Yes, everyone expected Jon Snow. That point where he comes down off of Rhaegal, which I still don't know if he's alive or not, but and he's about to face the Night King. We say, okay, here's it. Here's the one-on-one showdown we've been waiting for many, many seasons. And then, of course, I yelled out "cheater" to the Night King when he raises his arm. He's like, he doesn't want to fight mano a mano.
He's evil for a reason.
Then later, then you still think because they show him, fighting with Viserion or trying to get past him to get to the Godswood. and then you're like, well, how is he gonna get over there so fast? Night King's right there to kill Bran, and how, is he just gonna warp over there? And then of course Arya comes out, and I like the whole. Was it in the library with the zombies? It reminded me of the Jurassic Park raptor moment.
Oh, yeah.
Hiding.
Yeah.
And then also just the whole thing with Beric, because remember, Beric has come back and been brought to life so many times for a reason. They said there's a reason why the Lord of Light isn't having him die.
Right.
And once he saved Arya, it was like, okay, I didn't expect the ending, but I was like, okay, that means that Arya is going to serve a much larger purpose.
Right.
I don't know what that is,
Right.
because otherwise, why have Beric stay
I thought we were
alive
going to have to wait longer to find out what it was.
Exactly. I didn't know it was going to be this episode, so I like that kind of foreshadowing as well.
What about you, Kyle? Did you like that she's the one to kill the Night King, and did she earn? I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but just something about her fighting skills. Did you believe that she was able to escape all these situations to set herself up for the final kill?
Yeah, I think it paid off pretty well. I don't think they made it easy for her, which was very satisfying. Where she came out and she was all badass with her Gendry spear, double-headed spear, Darth Maul thing she was using. but then she loses it and she really has to struggle. There are moments she is in danger. It is not an easy path for her in this episode, and so I think it was very satisfying that she had to go through all these struggles to finally get that final blow in at the end. So I really liked it, and the fact that it was the dagger that pretty much set off the entire show,
Right.
being the end of the Night King was very satisfying. And if you don't mind, if I want to slip over, you mentioned Melisandre earlier and lighting the swords, and I had a little problem with that.
Oh, in what way?
Actually, I thought it was a little convenient.
Sure.
As a show nerd, I was like, this is great. This is an awesome power and ability. But the other side of me was like, this is a little convenient that the writers just gave her this ability to just touch things and light them on fire all of a sudden.
I get that. I honestly was happy that she had to do the prayer, because Beric just after seasons went on was able to just be like, flaming sword, without praying at all.
Right.
So but I see what you mean. I think I just got over that because Beric was able to light his sword so many times so easily over the last few seasons.
Okay.
And I like it as this is like the one thing she brings to the fight is basically this fire from the Lord of Light, and she has this one prayer, and it's the last thing she essentially has to bring to this battle before she dies. I don't disagree with your point, though. I think it's just what I'm saying is it's par for the course for the writing lately.
It didn't hold you up.
No.
Only for a fraction of a second did it, and then I moved on from that.
Okay, all right. I see the criticism there. I bought it because of what they'd laid the groundwork in season 7, where she said she had to come back one more time. And so when she showed up, I wasn't necessarily put off by it. Her lighting stuff up is interesting, but then again, I mean, she is a servant of the Lord of Light. She's been able, fire is her thing, so I didn't think about it at all. Plus, the Lord of the Light is the counter to the God of Other, which is what the White Walkers worship. So she has a purpose to serve here, which is to fight to the end to try to destroy the God of Other. So she used all her powers, lit the trench, lit the swords. But yes, a little bit of convenience, perhaps, but a convenience that I think I can overlook because of how they set the table in season 7 that she was going to come back and have an integral part in this battle somehow, some way.
I did really like her pep talk to Arya, because she sort of came around. Arya was at her wit's end. It seemed like she was almost about ready to just give up, and then Melisandre comes in and gives her the, what do we say to the Lord of Death?
Right.
Not today. So Melisandre got Arya back up and like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can make this happen.
I just realized I totally brain flubbed too. He doesn't use prayer to light his sword. They've shown us he uses like a wildfire trick.
That's
so
what
that's
I
just me
thought.
being a doofhead.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
I wasn't sure. I forgot. I didn't want to say that.
There's too many.
But he had like a little flint in his hand or something.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so much happening.
That's in the book, though. He says a prayer to light the sword on fire.
Right.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. After all these years, I start getting it all mixed up now.
It's a lot of details.
Trying to keep it straight. Once this show's done, I will remember everything that happened in the book.
Every single detail, every single name.
Exactly.
Yeah. But Dennis, do you like that the Night King was killed three episodes before the season?
Okay,
so let's have this discussion because this is connected to Arya.
Okay, originally, we had talked about it, and I think some people are a little upset or disappointed that the Night King is now gone. And I was a little worried as well about that it happened. Watching this episode, I realized why it had to happen, which is because Dany has amassed this huge army, right? She had 3 dragons before, the Night King had taken the Dothraki, the Unsullied, now she's got the North, she's got all this. The only way that she's going to fight Cersei on even ground is if her army gets decimated, and that's what this episode was.
Right.
So they want to finish up that Night King stuff, so now she can go fight Cersei. Like, not even hands, probably good. She's going to be undermanned.
Right.
So that we have more of a sense of drama at the end of this season. Because if she had taken what she already had and fought Cersei, it would have been no problem.
Right.
We wouldn't have to worry about anything.
Right.
So that's why, we still don't know if, we know Viserion is gone.
Yeah.
Rhaegal may or may not be gone. And then the Dothraki were gone, kind of they were gone real quick.
For all the hype about how they are in an open field, too.
And they were on horses, too.
I know.
Yeah.
The snow on the ground, it's unmelted water. They were all mixed
And I'm
up.
assuming that most of the Unsullied are dead. Grey Worm survived.
I would say so.
Grey Worm survived. I had predicted his death, but he because he gave that speech last episode, but he's still alive for now.
Certainly all the Dothraki are dead.
Yes.
Well, see, I think
Twice over.
there were a handful. I think there's a handful of Unsullied, a handful of Dothraki.
Yeah?
Because they showed them running back.
Okay.
Okay. With some of the
Like
horses.
small handful.
It seems like there's a dozen Dothraki, a dozen Unsullied, and
But Dany's army is
heroes.
Decimated.
not doing
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
No, it's
no,
true.
there's
It's a
nobody
good point.
there.
Yeah.
There's nobody there.
Haley, your thoughts? Was this the right move for the Night King to be taken out at this early in the season?
I am surprised,
Yes.
which I always find more rewarding than just finding what I predicted to be fulfilled. I think so from my perspective, because what I've always loved about the show is the Game of
Yes.
Thrones,
Me too.
I love all the magic elements as well, but really I want to see Sansa and Cersei going for, that rivalry they've kind of had since Sansa was a child, and she's a leader who learned from Cersei, and I want to see them. Hopefully, that my ideal with this would be them sort of coming to a battle of the wits in some way. I like that now they are firmly in a bad position yet again. They won, but they haven't won anything.
Right.
And they've got, a whole new recruited army coming at them.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I'm super stoked on it. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, a lot of people might be disappointed, Kyle. We get rid of the Night King. We get rid of the White Walker's threat, which has been building for, 8.5 seasons now. And we have it just go away with one knife move. Everyone dies. Are you disappointed by this at all? Did you want it to hold on a little longer? Or do you feel story-wise it makes the most sense because they got to handle Cersei next?
Well, I was on the fence about how I felt about it until 2 seconds ago when Haley just pumped me up.
She's good.
Now I'm in. Now I'm on board
It's a
here.
good vibe.
But
Yeah.
thinking about it logically, I think it makes sense because now if Daenerys and Jon take the throne, the word of mouth that they defeated the great evil and they protected the land, they protected the entire South. When they take the throne, people are going to be like, you know what? I don't think I mind these two. They just saved us. Because that's how it is. There are no pictures. It's not modern day. It's word of mouth. And there are enough survivors that is going to spread, that information that Jon and Daenerys fought the battle and saved the day.
While Cersei sat back and waited for the scraps that were left to destroy. Yeah.
So I think from a story perspective, I think it's a good thing that they took out the Night King as a whole. Of course, Arya took her out, but I took him out. Excuse me.
I agree. Someone who got taken out tonight by his own hand and fighting to the end by the Night King was Theon. And let's move into Theon and Bran and the Night King, their connection here. We had Theon pushing Bran, and maybe that's how he's been getting around. Theon's been pushing him around in these regular places. He's been popping up all these places. But we see Theon taking him to the tree. Theon acquits himself so well in this episode, fights everybody off until the end, and Bran finally gives him the closure he's been waiting for by saying, "You're a good man," and saying, when he tries to apologize again, he says to him, "Every decision you've made has led you here, made you become the man you are." I hope people took that lesson to heart in their lives. I mean, this isn't just a TV show. It can sometimes echo inside you as a person. I thought that line was really powerful to have him delivered. Kyle, he says that to him, gives him that closure, and then Theon runs off in a very dramatic ending in slow motion and gets himself killed by the Night King. Did you like the way this whole thing ended up?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
And also, to maybe throw in too, Kyle, the exchange between them, unspoken exchange between Bran and the Night King. And when they looked at each other.
That was, I mean, that's a badass moment. The Night King comes in, and the only thing standing between him and Bran is Theon. That's not, if you had asked me a while ago, I would never said Theon's going to be the one.
Or
the
that'd be
last
an
line
easy
of defense.
kill. Yeah, right.
But I thought that was beautiful. I have always been a Theon fan. Not necessarily every action, of course, because he's done some really horrible things, but I have been a fan of him and the hope of redemption. And I truly believe that he got it. He got that second chance. He stepped up. He did it. And he had his Legolas moment with his men firing arrow after arrow and taking out all these whites.
Good point.
So that moment really touched me. And I was so satisfied with it. I kind of hope he survived, because I wish he had survived, because there was a sort of that Sansa thing last week, and I could see the Iron Islands in the north being joined, but nope, not to be.
Yeah.
So
there was a moment where the Night King looked down at him, Haley, and he waited and then stepped over him and kept going. Do you think they were teasing us that he could possibly survive? And did you like his death if he did die?
First question, no. I don't think he's going to survive. I think that's the perfect ending to his journey, which kind of answers your second question.
Okay.
But, I think that was more to give us a beat to recognize his death another time before we move on to the next portion of the episode. I love it. I am also a huge fan of Theon. Again, not his actions always, but as a character, he's one of my absolute top 5 favorites in the whole series.
Wow. Okay.
I love his arc, and I've always been concerned about how they were going to wrap it up and if it would do justice to this character whose journey I've loved so much, and I feel completely satisfied. I do like your call out to Legolas. He did have that real Helm's Deep defense going on. He just needed to go down some stairs, but we'll let it slide. Oh, let it slide.
Nice.
Hey. I love it. I love Theon. I think I said this last week, I didn't take him and Sansa to be a romantic thing anyway. I took it to be very fraternal and like a deep soul love of survivors. But I'm tickled pink with his journey. I couldn't have asked for more. And like you said, you would never guess he'd be the last line of defense. And that's such a beautiful ending to this guy who so badly wanted his redemption, and who ultimately, like, what he did, the worst part of it, he did to Bran. Like, he made Bran watch him decapitate Roderick. He didn't like force him, but that was Bran's big trauma. And he just, it's beautiful. I love it. I'm rambling. I love it.
Dennis, did you like this ending? And what was going on between Bran and the Night King? What was that exchange, that unspoken exchange between them? Because I'm going to tell you, in my mind, a lot of people have said that Bran is the Night King. I thought there was a moment where I thought the Night King was going to bow to Bran, like go down on one knee to Bran. I'm like, oh,
and Bran's been behind us the whole time.
It's gonna be like,
Yeah.
So, what do you think?
I liked Theon's redemption story. He had to die in this one. I mean, when we did our predictions video, we all named off who we had. I had him on there, and if I had put money on it, he would have been the character I would most likely to die, because there is no purpose for him after this. I mean, his whole redemption is because he wronged the Starks and he wronged Winterfell, that the only place for him to die is at Winterfell in defense of the people there and the people that he grew up with. And so, I enjoyed that. Like, I almost felt like that beat that they took with the Night King was almost fake out, in the sense of, well, is Theon still alive? Maybe he'll come back and try and attack the Night King. I mean, everyone would lose their mind in a bad way if he was the one who took out the Night King. You know what I mean?
Even as a die-hard Theon lover, that would be a step too far.
Shut your mouth. It should happen.
I mean, a redemption story is good. Not that over. But with Bran and the Night King, they had a little thing there, and I was wondering if he was going to bow or he was going to say something.
Yeah.
Or something was going to happen between the two, because he just didn't. Night King, then he's
was reaching for the sword. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I like that moment.
Yeah,
I
me
have
too.
a quick Bran question. Do you guys think he was doing anything other than being in the birds when he was all zoned out?
I'm wondering that too. He gets in the birds and flies
the
around
crows,
and That's it.
No,
He's gone the whole time.
You see him see the Night King
Right.
raise the people to have them start walking into the fire. His White Walkers, they figure out, okay, we're going to walk into the fire and then lay on top of each other, and then eventually people will be able to walk over. So it was when Bran kind of connected with them that all of a sudden happened, which is why I thought at the end, I'm like, oh man, maybe there is a connection here between the two, which people have been speculating about for quite some time. Mike, go ahead.
The editing of the episode almost made me think that he was warging into one of the dragons.
Same.
Yeah.
Because it goes from that to the fight, the dragon fight, and then Jon by himself on the ground, surrounded by everybody, and then Bran does his thing, and I was like, he's gonna go into Rhaegal and have Rhaegal fly down and save Jon.
Or at least
I
Ghost
thought.
or something.
But then Drogon shows up.
Yeah. I thought he would have used his warging powers to be a part of the battle, just because also as an observer, I'm not sure what he was bringing of value since he was alone and the Godswood not talking.
Yeah.
But that's just a question. I don't
Let
know.
me throw you out something else. Maybe he's using the crows, because he was gone for a while.
He was gone for a really long
So maybe
time.
the crows flew south to give him an idea of what Cersei is preparing them for. And I thought, since he was gone for so long, that could lay the groundwork. Because what are the purposes Bran serve now at this point, now with the Night King gone? He has to be able to serve some kind of recon purpose with his ability to warg. And what do you think, Dennis? Do you think he sent the crows maybe all the way to the south?
I just
was
wonder
able
why
to
he
get a
would
vision and then
choose
come
that
back?
moment.
Yeah, well,
like, hey, everyone
it's
else
Bran.
is dying around me. I'm going to go send them down
Yeah,
here.
what else is he gonna do? He's an
I
invalid.
thought he was bringing like an army of something,
Yeah.
animals or whatever coming
Yep.
in to help, or something that would, at the end, I didn't know Arya was going to leap out, but like help him save himself in a way at the very end and kill the Night King. But
Yeah.
that didn't happen. So I don't know. I mean, I've always been critical of Bran the character. I mean, he is a plot device, right? And then so in this sense, now he's, he was the plot device in this one as well. So
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to use him for the rest of the season.
Some people are coming back and may go, during the battle, Roka? Yes, during the battle, because Bran does whatever he wants to do regardless of what's going on
Very
around him.
true.
Because he has no emotional connection to anybody
Honestly,
anymore.
that's the best theory anyone's presented at this table,
Yeah, okay,
so I'll buy
fair.
it for now.
Yep.
Just want to give him something to do. I kind of like
Yeah.
Bran. I like that kid. All right. We talked about Melisandre already. Is there any more you guys wanted? Did you like the way she died? Did you appreciate that she fulfilled her purpose and that was done? Is there any more to say about that with her?
I just had a little bit of a question mark about why, and we talked about this, why she sort of dusted at the end.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I know she's an old lady. She takes off the thing, her glamour goes away, she becomes the old lady, but to have her go away, I guess because she fulfilled her thing, so the magic that was keeping her old lady alive
The
sort of
necklace, which was
sort
the
of
necklace.
just sort of gave up,
Yeah.
and her body just disintegrated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's cold.
there was
It's
a brief.
cold out there.
It's cold out there, man.
Yeah, you can see her breath.
I also, unless it was specifically to like learn how to light hundreds of swords on fire at the same time, why did she go home again? That doesn't feel.
Great
I
point.
thought she was going to come back with an army or something.
Yeah.
but she didn't.
The mystical ones walk their own path.
I'm confounded.
I'm confounded. The mystical ones walk their own path, and you don't know what they're doing. Why did she disappear so long? Why is Bran sending the crows out? We don't know.
I need answers, man.
She gave Arya the pep talk. That's
Yeah,
what
that's
I
what
mean,
she's
that
there.
was the most important part.
Blue
right?
eyes. That's what she needed to say. Blue eyes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think it was more of just a logistical thing with her. Like they're like, well,
her out of
we
the
don't
way.
need to hire her as an actress, have her be as a season. You know what I mean? Like just go away and then come back when we need
Nice.
you.
I thought Davos was going to run up and give her the old.
Yeah, right. This is for my thing with Melisandre is I did not like her as a character through a majority of this series. I just didn't like her, what she did, and like how she like manipulated people with certain things, and birthed children from black magic. All of it was crazy and seemed to screw over a lot of people that I liked. So I didn't like her, but they redeemed her finally, for me at least, through the last season and this season. So to me, I'm able to have my own closure with that character. So I like the way she went out. She went out heroically and admitting that she made mistakes, which is what she did last season at Winterfell.
When do you think she realized that Arya was the one?
I think when she walked up
Okay.
on the armaments and looked at her eyes and had that pause with her.
For
and
the
was like,
longest time, remember, she thought Stannis was the prince that was promised.
Right,
And then
right.
she thought Jon Snow was.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then.
yeah.
So I'm just wondering, at what point did she be like, okay, I now know why Beric kept coming back alive, why
Right.
I'm here, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
Maybe
this
that's what she figured out when she went home.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Could be.
So were you happy that she had a redemption?
Yes,
If you didn't
in
like
the
her?
end.
Okay.
In the end, yeah. I mean, I think, listen, I didn't like Theon for a long time either, but until he became Reek, then I was like, oh my God, what a terrible. No, I mean, like, I get it, he did some things wrong, but my God. But like with Melisandre, look, Melisandre should never run a betting site, that's for sure, because she's so damn wrong about who's supposed to be
Yeah.
winning or lose. So, like, that's the thing with her, is the frustration I felt as a viewer going, all these people are giving her this breath, and Stannis is giving her all this love and whatever, but it's really Stannis' ego that is fueling Melisandre's arrogance and cockiness to believe her prophecies, and sacrificed his daughter, uselessly in the process. And you're just like, oh my God, in the long run. So that's why I didn't like her. But they did a great job, I think, redeeming her, in my opinion, because in the end, okay, she served her purpose, she did her heroic, well, we're done. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, in the end, we'll see. Tyrion, let's move on to Tyrion and Sansa down in the crypts there before we get too deep in the woods with this. Tyrion and Sansa, really great moments at the crypt, a little back and forth that made you remember why you loved their scenes together, Dennis. But down in the crypts, but then you have that moment with them behind the crypt as the White Walkers the crypts have come to life, and half of us were thinking maybe Ned was going to show up holding his head. Other half didn't. I don't know where Cat Stark is. Maybe she could have come out. Who knows? But like, we had this moment there, a really beautiful moment between. And I thought the score at this moment was incredible. Really great in bringing their connection to each other, their respect for each other, and love for each other. If not romantic love, certainly platonic love for each other, and then going out there and then saving everybody in the long run. Did you like that? Did you like their interactions and stuff?
Yeah, I definitely did. I mean, remember they started off with Tyrion in the beginning, you see him following everyone setting up, and he's basically looking at everyone doing something. Even Theon, he looks at Theon as Theon is carting Bran away and going like, even this guy is like doing something, and I gotta go down to the crypt and do nothing. And so, and then he has
his
to
protestations about Blackwater, yes.
Yeah, and then he's down there with Sansa, and he has this interaction with Sansa saying, "Look, there's nothing we can do," and he keeps wanting to go up there, and it mirrors a lot of what happened at the Battle of Blackwater with Sansa and Cersei, and. I like their dialogue. And remember, I forgot how they brought it up, but they were like about the marriages, and she was like, "You're the best of them." And so they had nice moments. And Melisandre didn't take that why they couldn't work it out because he's behind the Dragon Queen. I thought, I know they weren't completely resolved last week. There were some issues last week, but still, they had a little somewhat of a understanding there.
Yeah.
So, and then after this whole thing too, like. She did basically Daenerys sacrificed a lot to come here and protect the people.
Yeah. What'd you think, Haley? Did you like this?
I loved it. It was the first moment in the episode that got me going a little bit. I just was really touched by their sort of silent communication and their quiet handhold. Quiet handholds really get to me, I notice. Well, they're real. It happened in Avengers as well.
They're real. Those are authentic ones.
I thought it was very touching, and I hope they have more scenes together because they're very dynamic on screen together. They're wonderful actors when they're paired, and I'm trying to think like if. Okay, so I'm really, really pro Sansa, and I got worried for her there for a minute, like real worried.
She was breaking.
She was the one this episode that I was like, she's not dying. That's not happening. So I don't know. That makes me wonder, should I be more nervous going forward than I was? Or was it just a moment to scare you? I don't know. Both of them seem more in peril now to me.
Yeah, I would agree with. Yeah, I felt more in fear for Sansa at that moment. I'm like, oh man, they're really going to kill her. Holy crap. No one called this. But I think people would go insane if they had killed her because Jon needs her. And she needs Jon. Like they need each other as Starks. And if they had killed her, I think it would have been a mistake. Kyle, you look at this relationship with them, seeing how this has grown too. We talked about Theon's arc. We talked about Melisandre's arc. Their arc as a couple has really come full circle as well. Her being forced to marry him being respectful of her, but and then him having to take the hit for her escaping after Joffrey dies. Did you like how they kind of resolved this and then had them survive?
Yeah, I thought this was I really enjoyed their story here together. I mean, it goes back all the way from when Joffrey was having her beaten, and
Right.
Tyrion comes in. He's
Right.
like, put a cloak on this girl, and the Hound comes over. So to have it brought all the way here to this moment behind that crypt there, where they're holding hands and they're doing it. And did he have a dragonglass dagger?
She did.
She did, right?
Okay.
Because Arya
Once again,
gave
it
her
was
one.
so dark. I'm like, what am I looking at?
Yeah, Arya gave her
She
one.
had
Right.
she had one, but he didn't have one. But I liked their moment of, hey, everybody thinks we're kind of useless in this fight. They sent us down here. Let's do something. We've got people here in danger. Let's figure this out somehow. And they head out there and they try to take care of it.
And they were both the two who really didn't want to go down there in the first place. So that's
Yeah.
a nice follow-up on their
Absolutely.
desire to help. I think he did have a dagger. Am I hallucinating?
It seemed like he grabbed one.
So
Did
Yeah.
she give him hers?
I think they both had one.
I
I
think
think
they
he
both
just
had one.
randomly pulled one out.
Yeah, I think they both had one.
But this moment also harkened back to, I believe, season 2 during the Battle of Blackwater when Cersei made Sansa wait in that room with her. I had moments of that.
Absolutely.
Where Sansa's like, I've been in this position before. I don't want to be here during a battle.
Yeah, yeah.
So that rang with me a bit.
I like
in
this
that scene.
comment. What is it? The Iron Bank is going to repossess everyone. I like that. I like that comment. I'm sorry, I can't find it right now who wrote it, but that was a really good comment. I'm giving you a shout out. Let's move on there. Let's move on to the deaths here. We had Ser Jorah. We had Beric of Dondarrion. Ed. Lyanna Mormont, you sons of... I can't cuss, so we'll get censored. Those were the deaths, along with Theon and obviously Melisandre. Let's start with you, Kyle. Which of these deaths was the most effective, and which of these deaths left you feeling the most for their passing?
Oh man, they all hit me. They all hit me. Jorah was extremely impactful.
Yeah.
I thought his journey and just dying, protecting the woman that he loves, his queen, I thought was a beautiful moment. I really enjoyed that. Ed went too quick for me. Come on,
Yeah, had to get rid of
he
Ed.
saved Sam. He saved Sam in that
True,
moment,
true.
which was great. But then he goes down, and
Here's the clue for all of you in battle: never save the weaker because you're going to die. That's
You're gonna
just
die.
how- we've seen
Whoa,
it.
don't
We've
say
seen it.
that.
Cliché.
That's terrible.
Some guy, remember in the Battle of the Bastards, some guy saves Jon Snow
Right.
and gets killed
That's
right
what I'm
away.
saying. That's what I'm saying. Never save anybody. You're going to die next.
Yeah.
Just watch
In
your
the
own back.
movies,
The
in
Hound
movies
has
and
it
TV
right.
shows. That's
Just
right.
look
That's
out
right.
for number 1.
Exactly. When you're not cowering behind a wall. Yes. All right. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, Lady Mormont, that was a bit of fan service there, and I loved every second of it. Just to have her be picked up and crushed and get the killing blow on a giant was just, this little tiny girl takes out the giant. Fan service, loved it. No complaints on that. Beric, I love Beric. He's always been a fan of mine. I've always liked him since I read the books and then into the show, and he's a different character in the two. But to have the moment where he saves Arya, and then we find out that was his mission.
Right. That's why he was brought back so
kept
many times.
Bring him back.
That was his purpose.
So I thought it was all the deaths hit me hard.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Haley.
Yes, I would agree that Ed went too quickly. He deserved better, but they've got a lot to do. Beric I think his was perfect, and I something about him getting struck and so many times after he'd been brought back to life so many times felt really fitting to me.
That's a great point.
That one didn't quite make me emotional, but I loved it. I think that was really well done. Lyanna, you're right. Total fan service, but the best kind.
Yep.
And shockingly violent. Like, I know that they're always violent against children in this show, but I don't know, her getting crunched and tossed, I was like, wow, that is a child, people. But again, didn't make me emotional. Made me more like cheer, she got a really great death. She went out swinging. And then the other two that broke my heart were Theon and Jorah, both of which left me just totally in tears.
Yeah.
And, perfect. We already talked about Theon, but how else would Jorah have gone?
Yeah.
That's his only way to go. And he I can't even say he deserved better because he fulfilled, I think, what he believed was his purpose, to protect his queen, his Khaleesi.
Yeah, I mean, that was my most heroic death, in my opinion, watching that. Because that had been built up for seasons, that he wanted to die, in essence, in service because of how he he came to be in service of Khaleesi, and like kind of lying to her, then getting called out, then getting sent away, then the grayscale, sent away again, coming back and being there by her side to save her, because I don't know if she would have survived in that moment without him, right? Because Drogon had flown off, she was there all by herself, those whites were coming like crazy, he had to fight them off. Which one stood out for you, Dennis?
Yeah, I think definitely Jorah. Of course, Lyanna, because I love her character so much.
Yeah.
But you guys are right. She went out the way that was the most cool way, where she actually did something. My heart actually broke more when she got turned into a white.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, because that, she wouldn't want to, fight for the side of the dead. But yeah, Jorah, he went out doing what he always wanted to do. I mean, he's protecting the woman he loves, that he knows won't love him back in that way. I mean, obviously she was heartbroken and was crying, and they set it up. When Daenerys was about to get killed, you think it's Jon Snow saving her, but no, it's Jorah.
He just got subverted all episode.
Yes.
Jon Snow, you ain't the hero this time.
Exactly.
He was not.
But yeah, I think Jorah was. I think with Ed, I knew it was coming, just like the Theon one, and it was quick. And then Beric, I liked his death, and didn't. Just because he served a purpose. They finally gave us a reason why. I would have been more upset if whatever he ended up doing served no real higher purpose.
Right. Some weird random tangent purpose. You're
exactly.
like, what? Let's move back around the table about people that did survive. The Hound survived. Did you enjoy his journey? Jaime survived. Sir Brienne of Tarth survived. Podrick survived. Gendry survived. A lot of people survived. Tormund survived. A lot of people survived that people thought might die. Are you okay with these people surviving? Did you kind of want some more significant deaths coming out of this episode?
I mean, I think I'm fine with who died. It makes sense. Plus, there's big, larger plans for a lot of these other ones. Maybe not. So, I don't know about Tormund or anything, but Jaime Lannister obviously has. Yeah. He has connected with his sister Cersei. So that. But if you think about it, all those other people, other than you're talking about Daenerys and Jon Snow, these other people you mentioned, they weren't really featured in the episode. It was mostly them fighting, and you'd see them being surrounded by whites, and that was it. They would just cut to them for a few seconds of fighting, and that's it. They didn't really have that much to do.
That's a fair point.
Versus either the main characters or the people who did die.
They were constantly under siege.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Fair point. Did you like this that these people survived? Did you want to see any of them die?
I wanted to see them all. No, I like it. And I actually didn't think most of those people were going to die because there's another battle coming, so you can't lose all your warriors in one episode.
Fair point.
Or you're just, we're totally screwed if that happens. So I actually, the only one I really thought was going to die that didn't was Davos, but I'm thrilled. He's one of my favorite characters. I was prepared to go home really sad, and I'm sad, but Davos would have really broke me. I think it's their time's coming. There's another army to fight.
Right.
If you want them to die, just tune in next week.
You've read the books. You host that podcast that has dealt with the books for years and years, Kyle. You look at this. Do you think if George R. R. Martin is writing this,
they're all dead.
One of these, one or two or three of these characters that survive would have died as a swerve for the audience? Because
if George was writing this episode,
that's what I mean.
He would have murdered every single one of them. No, I neither liked nor disliked this, but let's get it out of the way. This is going to be the biggest complaint about this episode.
Oh, yeah.
That the fact that you have Brienne, you have Jaime, just sitting in a corner for what felt like 30 minutes, surrounded by undead, just endlessly going, and every time the camera would turn around, there they were, I'm just living, barely, for so long. I think this is going to be the biggest problem people have with this episode, and I understand that.
Especially Gendry, who is not a seasoned warrior.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. But the fact that they did survive, I think storytelling-wise, it's gonna pay off. That these people are gonna go through an emotional journey through the rest of the episodes of this final season. So it's I'm on the fence about it, about them surviving. I wish they had filmed it differently. Maybe they made it into a little sort of safe hold in the middle, a la Two Towers, where they're in their hold in the middle, and they were able to secure themselves there. The fact that they were just standing there fighting forever with nobody, what seemingly with no red shirts around, no other people anywhere, just our heroes, was a little hard to swallow, a little far-fetched.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the cynic of in me goes, okay, these are all kept alive for a reason, right? Is Jaime going to kill Cersei? We don't know. Sir Brienne of Tarth, she has unfinished business here as well. Podrick, we fall in love with Podrick. We don't want Podrick to die. Gendry has to make the weapons. We can't lose Gendry. Like, these are all
Clegane
reasons.
Bowl.
The Clegane Bowl, right? The Hound. The Hound I knew was safe. There's no way the Clegane Bowl was.
That's because
not
he was
going to
following
happen.
your rule. He was looking out for himself.
That's right, he was.
He survived.
Hanging against the wall. I didn't expect him to cower, but because it's like, well, there's no point to it. Well, then fight to the end if there's no point to it. Don't go out dying waiting for them to kill you. So I was surprised by that reaction. But the Hound has always been the softer of the two.
Yeah.
The Hound in the Mountain. He's always had that little softer edge.
He's got a soft spot for Stark girls again
He
in
does.
this episode.
I'd
goes
like
in there
to
and
see
saves
the
her.
reunion with him and Sansa. We haven't
Yes.
seen that, right?
The San fans, as they call them, Sandor and Sansa,
Yeah.
are dying. I think they're so mad that this
Yeah.
reunion has not happened.
The Sansan fans. I like that.
Sansan fans, yeah.
I've eaten there before. John, let's move on to this last interaction here, and this is the big one. Jon and Dany and the dragons. I want to take a moment here. Maybe some people are complaining that we're not talking about the cinematography. This is where it came into play. The dragon stuff was incredible. The stuff in the sky, the clouds, all of it. Whoever was in charge of the cinematography, like, God love you, did an incredible job bringing this to life. The shots from above, looking at all the firing swords, or all the swords on fire, rather, how they come across. Everything was really just so incredibly filmed and photographed here. I was blown away by it. And the dragon fight felt like in the snow, which the Night King had brought on. It had shades of the Mutara Nebula in Star Trek II Wrath of Khan, where you can't see each other and you might come upon each other and slam into each other. All of it was really well done. Kyle, Jon and Dany here, did you like how this progressed? Because they obviously were still cold to each other at the beginning, for lack of a better term, cold to each other at the beginning of this on the castle. Remember, she pulls away from him
Absolutely.
and stuff. She has her own mission here. Did you like how this all progressed and how they did not have a reunion moment at the end and back in love with each other? So
No, they didn't, and I'm glad they didn't try to shoehorn that into this episode. I'm glad they just had their mind on the goal, which was the battle. And like you said, holy cow, was it beautiful. The dragon fights and everything were fantastic. I got kind of a Matrix vibe when they're flying through the skies of a city in the third one. It was unbelievable. And I didn't know how they were going to counteract the dragons. And I'm glad they brought in this snowstorm that sort of hindered them. I think that was a smart choice. And their whole journey coming together and going apart and their separate things, I thought it was pulled off very well.
Yeah. Haley, you look at this. Did you enjoy what Dany was able to do fighting? I mean, she's the one that's like, no, I'm going out there. We're going to fight, and they're setting everything on fire. There's incredible visuals as well. Jon following suit, and then Jon trying to save her in this situation with the Night King.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that when it comes to the cinematography, I can't ignore the fact that you can't see half of the battle.
Yeah, fair.
Which that could be color grading. But whatever happened there in the post-production, I wish we were able to see the action a little more clearly. But when they go up in the sky above the clouds, beautiful.
Yeah.
You can see everything and it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
I like your point though, even though it made it really hard for us to see as well. I like that snowstorm, like you never thought you'd see two dragons just smash into each other. That was great. It's good. I just wish that it had the clarity of some of the other battle episodes, and not to harp on it, but I really don't feel that the stakes felt as high as they could have, because you weren't always sure what or who was doing what or when.
Did you like, Dennis, that they went off after the Night King instead of staying and fighting the army off where it was? Did you think they got too caught up in trying to kill the head guy instead of staying there with their dragons?
I don't think they got too caught up, because they realized in the last episode that if they're going to fight them purely on numbers, they're going to lose. The only way that they can win is to take out the Night King, and that was the whole Bran plan. And I like that. I mean, yes, I think having the rest of the episode at nighttime and also very hard to see and chaotic, but with the dragon stuff, it made sense. I liked it because it when you first think of Jon and Dany, they got an easy job. They're going to sit on a dragon and blow fire. You realize it's not that easy.
Yeah.
You got to hang on there. It's the wind's blowing, it's cold, they can't see anything. It's very confusing and chaotic, and I think it made more sense in that context.
Right.
And once they rise above the clouds, those shots were gorgeous.
Yeah.
And Yeah, so I think that was my favorite visual stuff of the entire episode.
Do Arya and Gendry now have something to talk about the next time they make love? I killed that Night King. I killed it. I survived. Like, this is an interesting. There's a little bedroom talk between them now, as they survive. You're so uncomfortable.
I'm like,
listen,
I was
people
like talking
grow
about
up.
dragons.
People
and then
grow up.
talking about-
I'm just saying, people grow up. Some
my
people are
gosh.
commenting here. I want to give shout outs to people here in the chat room. They're saying that they think the Night King might not be dead. He might have warged into Bran. Is that possible? Is that in any way possible? You readers of the book, and studies of mythology, is that possible?
Oh, don't put this on the book reader. We haven't gotten there yet.
Right. This doesn't exist.
I don't have any inside information on
Does
this
the
one,
Night
all
King
right?
have this power?
I haven't been calling... Yo, George, hold on. George, I got a question
Tell
here.
you what happened.
Okay, I guess we can theorize about this right now.
Is that possible?
I guess it could be, although the Night King seems aware in his final moments of fighting Arya, and usually when we see Bran war into somebody, he's not aware of the rest of the world.
Right.
So that would be a counter argument
Okay.
I would give
Nice.
off the
Okay.
top of my head.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Anything to add to him?
I think that would just be an unnecessary narrative reverse
Yeah.
at this point when we only
Agreed.
have. What do we have? 2 episodes? 3 episodes. left.
3 episodes
Yeah.
left.
So I don't think that's likely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Night King stuff's done.
Yeah.
All
Right.
the Whites, the White Walkers, the Night King. I mean, obviously, there's going to be stuff that affects them, but as far as fighting them or whatnot, I think some people are disappointed because they had all. It kind of goes into that Star Wars thing, right? When
Right.
people have expectations based on either their own theories or fan theories, and when those don't come true, they get upset. Like, okay, is the Night King Bran, or is Night King going
Right.
to be revealed as a
Yes.
Targaryen or as a Stark, and maybe that just never was a thing, you know, and it was just something that we built up in our minds.
Yeah. People do get mad when their theories get deflated.
I don't understand that. I mean, because I enjoy theorizing and if I'm not right, I'm not right. Guess what? I wake up tomorrow, I'm still me. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand why people get so upset about it. It drives me insane. It's fun to explore the possibilities and excite yourself. But if you're looking to get validated for your theory, then you're making a massive mistake here because you don't know.
Unless you're the original person who came up with the Crips theory.
Yeah.
You are
Let's give
validated. Good job.
Yeah, no shit. That's fantastic. That Crips theory. That was so. When it started happening, I thought it was White Walkers burrowing through the wall, and then I realized from you guys, like, oh no, that's the Crips. Oh man, that's really happening. They're going to bring these people back to life. What's next? Wouldn't that have been funny to see Sansa down there fighting her ancestors again, in essence, to reclaim?
I'm glad they
some
didn't
level.
go hokey like that.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
I was hearing
totally.
the crypt theory, all I could envision was headless Ned and Rob running
Oh,
around
Rob,
fighting
right,
Sansa,
right.
and I was like, oh, this is going to get really hokey. I don't
Yeah.
want to see that.
Were they able
And
to put the bodies back in the crypt for Rob and?
I think
and
they
Kat?
were. I think
Well,
they made
Ned,
a point
they-
of
they
saying
had
the
the
Ned,
body.
I know that. Ned, yeah.
I
but
think they made a
was-
point of saying the Silent Sisters delivered their bones.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
I'd have to go back.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Lyanna Stark coming to life. Oh, wouldn't that have been insane to see that? Overall, let's finish up by talking about the battle itself. Overall, did you like the pacing of it, Dennis? Did you like the way it went down? Did you like the ingenuity of these White Walkers using that World War Z thing by climbing on top of each other up a wall? Did you like them being smart enough to lay on top of each other and then climb over the fire areas? And then how it all just went down. Yes, it was dark. Yes, it was tough to see at times, but the pace of the battle was evident to see. Did you enjoy the way it all went down? And then when they were all wiped out, but when the Night King died.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point was it was supposed to be an unrelenting force, right, coming down, and then they used the trenches thing to have a little break in that action, just so that you can get a breather yourself. The characters can get a breather as well. So yeah, I didn't mind the pacing. It was more of the visual stuff where you want to know, because honestly, I think throughout the whole episode, all of us were like, did that person die? I don't know. If like I thought Sam had died at one point, but he didn't. And then I saw him. He it was funny because he was like laying on top of White and like stabbing them. He was going like all aggro too. So it was pretty funny seeing that. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I said, Battle of the Bastards is still the tops for me.
Okay.
But also remember, Battle of the Bastards, it was like a 60, 65 minute episode, I think. Maybe it got to 70. But the whole episode actually wasn't the Battle of the Bastards. It
Yeah.
actually started off with 15 minutes of Daenerys and Tyrion in Marine. And then they started. This was 80 minutes of straight, just Winterfell battle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it served its purpose.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the battle overall, Haley?
Yeah. Overall.
What you could see of it.
Yeah, exactly. No, I did. I think it really picks up towards the end. At first, I don't think the pacing is as tight, but it is certainly effective at the end. I was like this the whole end of the episode. I do love that they found a way to work in Jon Snow charging headfirst into an impossible situation alone again. That is just my bro's move.
That's classic Snow.
Yeah.
Classic Snow.
On his brand.
Were you disappointed by anything within the battle, Kyle? Did you enjoy the pacing of it, or did you have some things that you would have liked to
I
see?
enjoyed it for the most part.
Okay.
It was not my favorite battle scene in the show.
Okay.
And I think it's because of the rules that are set up to this battle. And in that, it is this unrelenting force that will not stop, and you don't turn the tides of battle. In battle stories, I often like when the bad guys get the advantage. Oh, then the heroes fight it back.
Yeah.
And in this fight, you can't have that. It is just the bad guys are winning.
Right.
And they are just coming, and it is nonstop. There are no hero moments. Like, there are little things here and here. Arya shows
Yeah.
up, but it's very short-lived. And then it's just depressing even more. And until a single strike. And that just ends it all. So I think the rules of the battle dictate that. It wasn't my favorite, but
Okay.
I think it was really well done, and I did enjoy it, absolutely.
Yeah, I would say too. I as a massive fan of battle scenes on TV or film, I enjoyed this, and I would say I enjoyed it more than Battle of the Bastards because to keep it for an hour and 20 minutes in a constantly in battle is incredibly difficult to pull off. Incredibly difficult, and keep you on the edge of your seat, keep you feeling the emotion, have you going through it. And you say it picked up at the end. That I think that's the point. You want to lead up slowly into the and then boom, everything starts to happen. I think they did that effectively with Battle of the Bastards. Yeah, you're delayed by going to Marine of all that crap again. Which was not my favorite part of Game of Thrones. But with this is straight badass from beginning to end, and that's why I enjoyed the episode for what it was and the battle for what it was. But I hear all the criticisms and understand them completely. You know?
I'll say this: I don't think there were any moments that made me feel in the battle in the way that Battle of the Bastards has that iconic scene where they're all suffocating.
Oh yeah. Oof.
Or Watchers on the Wall has that beautiful slow pull when he's holding a Gert's body and the
Right.
fires are burning around them. That made me feel that I was in it.
Gotcha.
I didn't get that from any of this.
Oh wow. Okay.
Did you guys? Did you feel sucked into the battle personally by any of it?
I mean, I felt the impending kind of zombie or whites coming upon them and just it being overwhelming. I guess that's what it was, the overwhelming feeling of like, okay, there's so many of them. There's no way. Because I remember, even after they beat them, you have to basically kill twice as many because all the people you got killed turn into part of their army again. And so kind of that nature I got across. But in terms of like within the battle, I think Battle of the Bastards does that better. And also I'm just more emotionally invested in Battle of the Bastards.
Right. Well, I guess I did. I found myself multiple times feeling out of air or suffocated or desperate. And certainly when they all came back to life, there was this sense of like the inevitability of it all. It reminds me of someone saying that in the trailer to a certain group of superheroes, I am inevitable. And it felt like this was inevitable. Their death was inevitable. And I thought to myself, my God, are they really going to have the White Walkers and Night King win this thing? Because it seems like there's no way possible. The one criticism, and I will throw it out there because we got to wrap up soon, but the one criticism, how does Arya sneak by all his guards, all the other White Walkers that are there, all his head council there to be able to jump through and do that?
I don't know how, but I will say they did set it up because she sneaks up on Jon in the Godswood in a previous episode. And he goes, how'd you sneak up on me?
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if that's that's not an answer, but it's certainly they laid the ground to say that that's something she can do.
Right. And Jon's a Targaryen. A lot of people are saying the Night King is possibly a Targaryen, so apparently she can get the jump on the Targaryens. So that's certainly possible. All right, any final thoughts from any of you all before we wrap up here? We're at that hour mark. We got a lot of people. Thank you to everyone who's been watching us. 17,600 people watching us live. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your comments, both positive and negative. Really appreciate that. Any final thoughts about the episode? Anybody?
I just want to mention two badass moments that never got brought up. Is one, we found out the Night King wasn't vulnerable to Dragonfire.
Yeah.
You're right.
Which was a moment, I think, that kind of turned, because Daenerys is there just shooting at him, and you're like, okay,
that was her hero moment.
That was her
badass moment.
Which didn't end up being too badass. And then as soon as Drogon lands, he gets covered like ants on a piece of meat or something.
That was cool.
That was might have been my favorite moment of the episode. I thought that was beautiful, and I thought the special effects of him shaking and trying to getting them all off was awesome.
Yeah, agreed.
I think that might be the moment that made me feel closest to what I was talking about feeling sucked in and trapped in the battle, or just being a part of it. That's a good call.
When she's on there and she can't do anything, she can't save the dragon she loves.
I also would point out her arming herself is not something she does. So I enjoyed seeing her pick up a sword and get in the battle a little bit.
Has she done that before? Like trained in battle?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Because I remember during the when the Sons of Harpy attacked the arena, I was like, boy, I bet you wish you knew how to fight right now. But I think that's the first time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't remember seeing her wield the sword effectively in battle before. Dennis, any final thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, I'm just, I enjoyed the episode, and I, as someone who has always said that I'm more interested in the political stuff, that I'm kind of glad the Night King stuff is over with, and I want to see what they're going to do later on. Like I said, the purpose of this episode was to decimate Dany's army, and now they are going to have to figure out what they're going to do to win, because they don't have that many people left.
Yeah. And everything's in play now with so many people who survived this battle. So many people now, it's almost like a mystery who's going to kill Cersei. There's a lot of people in play that could kill. I don't know, is Ilaria Sand still alive down in that dungeon? Is that possible that she could like put the lipstick on and kiss her and end her life? I mean, who knows? A lot of things are in play.
Her arc is wrapped.
Yeah, I think Dorne
We're done with Dorne, as we say.
John, I'm with you. Come on.
Hashtag done with Dorne. Hey, if they can redeem everybody else, they can redeem Dorne, can't they? We'll see. Anyway, there's a lot of things to play with here, but this was, as you can hear, there are some criticisms to the episode. I personally loved it very much, but of course criticisms, they're happening online as well and in the chat room. So this will probably be a divisive episode for a lot of fans, and it'll be fun talking about it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was a blast to talk about it with you three. Really appreciate all the insights you guys have into Game of Thrones, and this was certainly going to get a lot of tongues wagging all week. So Kyle, where can they find you, my friend?
They can find me on Twitter at Kyle Maddock, and of course a podcast of Ice and Fire. We talk about the books. We've been going for 11 years.
Wow.
And so when the show's done, we're going to go for another 11. I don't know.
There's a prequel coming. There's prequels coming. We got to jump on top of that.
We got a lot to talk about. So
In
podcast
theory,
of
more
Ice
books.
and Fire. Yeah.
A podcast before Ice and Fire. There you go. What about you, Haley? Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Haley Fouch. You can find me on Instagram at Haystack McGroovy. You can find me on the Witching Hour podcast here at Collider and on Collider.com.
Boom. And Dennis, where can they find you, my friend?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or Instagram dennis.tzng, and I'm here on Collider Videos. I also do the Collider Games channel as well. So
And What the Throne podcast. You're going to talk about this episode, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I got to think of what we should talk about, because there's so many different. We like to narrow down to just one kind of thing. So I think we will talk about the Arya thing, because that seems to be the most controversy. I see in the chat some people saying that she's a Mary Sue. I don't think you know what a Mary Sue is if you think Arya is a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
The very opposite of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that will be the main topic of a discussion.
It will actually be back in time for that episode? Or are you doing that one?
I haven't figured out who will be doing that.
Yeah. I wonder. Shout out to our Ashley Victoria Robinson, who is in London, couldn't join us for this. Hope she enjoyed the episode as well and had a blast. I'm sure she's going to be tweeting about it soon. You can follow me at The Rogue Says on Twitter and on Instagram. All the things I do there going on. And I'm dropping a new show starting next week. So look out for that on my social media. Thanks, everybody, for watching this episode of Thrones Talk. Much love to all of you for the comments you left and for watching with us live. It's always a joy to see how many people are engrossed and interested in what we have to say. Let us know what you thought on social media. Remember to like and share this video on your social media and subscribe to Collider for more Game of Thrones videos just like this. And we'll be back next week for another episode of Thrones Talk. Shout out to Adam Smith. Thanks, brother.